Hi everybody, I thought I'd post my first YouTube video showing where I've got to with making the test bed for this Tiger 1050 starter motor and the plans to what I'm going to do to actually test it. So at the moment I'm just going to do a proof of concept because I have no idea how much torque these things produce. I've been looking on the internet and I've found threads and videos and comments ranging from 2.5 foot-pounds, which is nothing, all the way up to about 40 foot-pounds. So I don't know whether this thing is going to demolish my kitchen scales or rip the spline shaft out the end of my widget that I've made on the end here. So just to basically test it, I put a long bar in here, put it on my kitchen scales, and I'll just see how much force it produces. And if it produces sufficiently small amount, then I can mount the whole thing on this actual test bed here. So what I've been doing, I've spent a certain amount of time making a couple of these things out of carbon basically. So it's just a widget with a hole in it that will take the shaft. The main problem I had was how to take the power off the end of the starter motor, and so what I did is I made a splined female receptor in the end of this. So that is essentially a push fit on here, pretty much an interference fit. I won't put it in. And then I've had to make two, unfortunately, because one's this is a 9 spline shaft and this is 10. Got my pudding cables. I'm not totally sure that these are exactly the same length as the OEM ones, but I'm going to take the OEM ones off the bike, and if I have to shorten these a little bit and recrimp them, then I will. But at the moment anyway, the plan is just literally to fire this thing up, but unfortunately I haven't got any bolts long enough to bolt it down, but I've ordered some off eBay, so I'm going to bolt this thing down, clamp it to the bench, press the go button and just see how much force it produces. And if it doesn't tear the spline shaft out of this, or smash my kitchen scales into oblivion, or fly through the window or something crazy, then it looks like we're all go, because the rest of this is ready to go. It's just really a question of bolting it down. I had one other slight problem. I made this test bench using the starter motor off my S1000, and wouldn't you bloody know it, when I got the Triumph one, I thought they're bound to rotate the same way, but they don't. So this one rotates that way, that one rotates the other way. So this thing all comes apart, flip it over and put the starter solenoid and the starter button in on the other side. So it's no great issue, but it'll take a little bit of setting up each time. The plan is to make a cardboard box that goes around the starter motor and test it cold, and then heat it up to kind of cook it to medium rare, 55 degrees solid throughout, give it maybe half an hour to get warm, and then test it hot. But there's loads of stuff we can do. We can test how much force you get out of a YTX12BS. We can test how much you get out of a YTZ14S, is it? We know that they're more powerful because we've seen plenty of videos where you can see the difference in cranking speed. But I'm going to test the OEM cables for the amount of force and then test them against the pudding cables. Hope Jeff won't be offended. I keep calling these pudding cables. They're not, they're my own cables that I made up, but they're 4 gauge and they're oxygen free copper, so they're high quality. The cables alone cost me 11 quid actually, so I mean they're not cheap. Just trying to think what else we can do. So I'm gonna I said this is off my S1000, it isn't, it's a brand new starter motor. So the idea will be to test both of these hot and cold. This one we know has got a proven track record of hot no cranks, so bad that it was doing it every single time. So that's a really good starter motor to test. But I'm expecting that even the S1000, when it's hot, it'll produce less torque. And I will also take the starter motor off my own Tiger, which has never had a hot no crank issue, but it does sound a bit limp when it gets really hot, and it will be interesting to see. I'm hoping that this thing is just going to produce very little torque when it's hot, in which case once I've got those base figures, we'll take it apart. I'll make a couple of videos of taking it apart, exactly what's in it, and cleaning up the various components one at a time and testing it at the end of each phase, so that I haven't done about 6 or 7 things to it only to find that it then starts working. If we do one thing at a time and then test it, another thing, test it, another thing, test it. Hopefully we'll find out what it is that's causing the problem. I'm being a bit smug here because I think I know what it is anyway, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. Let's test the thing properly. Anyway, that's about it for now. I'll make another video of the actual very first fire up because it could be interesting. This rod could fly straight through the window. It might even turn around the other way and smack me on the head. Who bloody knows? But we'll see. But I'll make a video. But unfortunately, I can't today because I'm waiting on the bolts. That's it for now, and we'll post another video shortly. Cheers, folks.